Today we're going to be talking about my SteamOS and Windows desktop build. I am dual booting actually Bazzite and Windows 11 with this computer. And basically I'll list all of the specs on the screen here as I'm talking about this, but I've always been interested in building a SteamOS or Bazzite, something similar to it, PC ever since the Steam Deck came out. I always thought that was a really cool idea. And so I finally put together a computer that I could install it on. This has a AMD CPU and GPU, and that is one of the bigger things from what I can tell. If you are going to try and run like strictly SteamOS, Bazzite has a little bit better compatibility with NVIDIA graphics cards and such, but I wanted to build this all Team Red anyway. But I'm going to talk a little bit about what my experience has been installing Bazzite on this computer and getting it up and running, because it was not super easy at first, and to be honest, I was pretty frustrated with it to begin with. So I'll talk a little bit about what I had to do in order to get all of this to work and play nice. Okay, the first thing that was super frustrating when I was doing this Bazzite dual boot is I really wanted to share my game drive between Windows and Bazzite. And so I know that it's not really recommended to do this with an NTFS drive. And it even says so all over the internet that you really shouldn't be sharing a drive between the two OSs like this. But it does work. So that is the thing. You do have to do a little bit of a code thing to get it to work. So basically you have to edit your fstab on Linux. There's a bunch of videos available online on how to do that. But basically that's all I had to do. So I had to go into my terminal and then go into the FS tab, and I guess I could show you what it looks like. But basically right here I have my 2 terabyte drive, and this is how I had to mount it. You can find tutorials on how to find your UUID and the drive type, which in this case is NTFS, and then obviously all of these other settings you also need to have in your FS tab. If you mess with anything up here, you can make it so that your OS doesn't boot anymore. But either way, just make sure that if you are going to do anything in here, that you're careful with what you're doing and that you know what you're doing. So just educate yourself a little bit on that before you try and attempt it. But once you have that done, then the drive will actually auto mount, because before what I had to do is the Bazzite defaults to game mode. I would have to come into desktop mode like I am now, and I would just have to click on the drive basically, and then it would mount itself, which was really annoying because I'd rather just stay in game mode and just jump right into playing my games if I boot into Bazzite. So that's what I set it up to do, and now that is working. Okay, the next problem that I had was I was attempting to set up my Xbox controller over Bluetooth to play games, right? Which is a pretty normal thing to do. And I already tried a few fixes that people suggested, which were updating the firmware on the Xbox controller in Windows. So I tried that. That didn't fix it. But anyway, so like normal, I would turn it on and I would put it into pairing mode right now. Pair device, and then I would click Xbox wireless controller and try to connect it, and you can do the same thing in game mode, and it just does not play nice for some reason. The Xbox controller, and I've heard the same problem with PlayStation controllers also, they just do not want to connect, and when they finally do, they drop in and out. Nothing works correctly. But if you plug it in over USB, see, there you go, the setup of Xbox wireless controller has failed. So super annoying problem. It says it's failed, and then it also says no devices paired. But either way, I was having this problem over and over and over and over, pulling my hair out about it. And I did some research, and for the most part, what everybody seems to say is just plug it in over USB, which I didn't really want to do. and the other option was to buy a dongle. So what I ended up doing is buying the 8-bit do dongle for it, and I could show you what I'm talking about here. They're only like $20, so it's nothing crazy expensive right here. These adapter switch controller adapter, and this I just plugged it in and it worked perfectly. And the Xbox controller connects fine, stays connected, and I have had zero issues with it since. So those are like the two big problems that I had when I first wanted to play games on here. So I figured I would make this video for those of you that want to actually do this. But once I got all of that set up, all of the games are playing perfectly fine. I haven't really had any issues as far as compatibility. All the games have just been working great. But just be aware of those two problems. If you're like me, coming from Windows, never really have done much with Linux, then you might run into a couple little problems here and there like that, where you're going to have to jump into the terminal and fix these things. So it's not a bad idea to just kind of get familiar with how to use the terminal and permissions and that sort of thing. But either way, after I got it all set up, it has been working great, and I've been seeing really impressive frame rates, and it just seems to run a lot faster and smoother in general. So I will show you just how easy it is. Okay, so now I am booted up into Ratchet and Clank, and the game is just running really well. I'm having no problems with it. I've been playing this quite a bit on this setup, and everything's been working great so far. But this obviously solved the controller problem. If I had not done that little dongle, then my controller in this short time that you've been seeing me play this right now would have disconnected probably twice already. So I'm super happy with how it's working. It's working way better than I ever expected, to be honest, because I haven't tried Linux gaming in years at this point. So I'm very impressed with how far it's come, and everything is looking phenomenal. But anyway, you can see my frame rate in the top left corner there. But so far, I think that this is a really impressive way to do this, and honestly, it's just you get rid of all of the fluff from Windows. It makes it so much better just to have, hop straight into your gaming experience without having to deal with all of the Windows crap that you normally deal with. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about this, go ahead and let me know. And also, if you would be interested in seeing me build a computer for Linux gaming or Bazzite or SteamOS that is a desktop that is battery powered, like my other battery powered desktop, I'm thinking about buying a kind of a budget CPU GPU combo, both AMD, and seeing how low the power consumption can be and how small I can make it for portable gaming. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about that. But that's about it. So this is just kind of a little quick start guide on getting Bazzite up and running. And obviously you will have to follow just the normal instructions on installing Bazzite to begin with. But there's a lot of tutorials out there for that as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.